Welcome back to One Foot In. I'm Ohana. He's Winn. It is Friday, which means we've got a lot of college football to talk about this weekend. And I don't know if I want to waste any time.
Let's just jump right into it.
Let's just jump right into
Now,
it.
you guys are probably thinking, hold on a second. He's wearing an Oklahoma jersey. Not a jersey, an Oklahoma shirt. It's because I'm going to be in attendance. Big game, Oklahoma, South Carolina. Not a huge game, but in an even bigger scale, it's this team's rival. It's their trademark horns down that they like to do all the time, which is kind of rent free, I feel like, for Texas. But they also put Baker Mayfield's jersey on the field.
They did do that.
That's pretty soft in my opinion.
Kind of embarrassing.
Maybe that's what I'll. Okay. Anyways, yeah. Texas, Georgia. This is the biggest, I would say, game I think of the year. Like Alabama and Georgia, obviously that was huge, but like this is bigger. I think this is bigger, and I think that this is going to be electric.
I think it's hard to disagree with you, and yeah, I think it's bigger than Bama, Georgia. Definitely at this point. I mean, obviously, we have the gift of hindsight, I suppose.
Yeah, true.
And we know that now it's 1 Texas and 5 Georgia, and we've seen what happened with Bama against Vanderbilt and then South Carolina back-to-back weeks. And now that game feels less like what this game feels like, which is the matchup of the year so far. And it's also, you could argue, the kind of inflection point of the season. I think we're going to find out so much from this game about not just these two teams individually, Texas and Georgia, and not just the SEC, but kind of how the season's going to play out as a whole for all of college football, really.
Yeah.
Because these are two of the teams that people expected before the season to be at the top of college football and have been at the top of college football throughout the season. Obviously, Georgia has the 1 loss and doesn't look as dominant as they've looked in years prior, and Texas just looks like an absolute wagon. I mean, they've rolled everybody so far. And so I think there's so much that we're going to get from this game. If Texas rolls here, like if Texas just dominates like we've seen them throughout the year, then who can even compete with them at that point? It'll kind of feel like it's just Texas's year.
I mean, this is the classic matchup of an unstoppable object versus an immovable force. I mean, Georgia, yeah, like they lost that game to Alabama, but their second half they look sharp. I mean, you read these stats, it's basically just like, okay, Texas averaging 43 points per game and allowing 6 points per game.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Yeah.
I think that number's probably going to change here. I think that Georgia's the best team that they'll play, I think, in the regular season. I actually don't really.
I mean, they've got Vanderbilt next week.
Shout out Diego Pavia.
Shout out.
I met Diego Pavia's lookalike in Knoxville, Tennessee, in a bar. Shout out Hannah's. But anyways, this is immovable object and unstoppable force. And in my opinion, I mean 7:30 in Austin, which I will be at in a couple weeks. I'm excited for that, even though I think that's a noon game. Yikes. But I think Texas gets this one done. I really do. And you know why I think they get this done? Because I saw my man Quinn Ewers score a tutty. Actually, I think he passed a tutty.
It doesn't matter.
And he hit we did the
boom.
We bring the boom. That's what we do.
do.
And then I saw that the Rizzler and the whole crew were commenting under that. And dude, you know how much faith I have in my quarterback? This guy comes off of an oblique strain. He looked weird in the first half against Oklahoma. He got it rolling though, and I think he'll continue to get it rolling.
Yeah.
But then he's gonna come out there and hit you with we bring the boom. Like, come on.
He's gonna bring the boom.
Come on, dude. I think Quinn Ewers though. I think a lot of this game. It's hard for me to even say that. I was going to say a lot of this game rests on his shoulders, but when you look at it, I mean, it's really just Texas's defenses. Can they stay consistently, dominant? And so far, there's nothing to prove that they're not. I mean, even their freshmen like Colin Simmons, the edge rusher. I mean, they just have so many powerful weapons in so many places. And when you're allowing 6.3 points per game, now granted, they haven't faced nearly as good as an offense as they'll see. But we've also seen that Georgia has struggled at times to score. Like Kentucky is a great example of that, and like they were blowing out Mississippi State, but then they even let Mississippi State creep back in. So I got Texas in this game, and I think it'll be close, but I think that Texas will probably win by, I would say, a moderately comfortable margin. I don't really know exactly what that means. I think the spread is 3.5, 2.5 maybe.
I don't exactly know. I'll pull that up.
But I think that's a great game. I think Georgia's just struggled a little bit. I mean, this isn't the Georgia that we've seen in years prior, and that's just college football. I mean, that's the way that these things go. What you looking at? You find it?
4.5 right now. No.
4.5.
It opened at
3.5, right?
It opened Georgia 1.5 point favorites. That was probably a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now it's 4.5. Texas 4.5 point favorites, which, yeah, I agree with you. I think
home game. Like, I think that's just like a big deal. So yeah, what are your assessments on this? Do you think that Georgia has a chance to win? I mean, I guess it's not fair to say that they don't have a chance to win, but if you think they can, how do you think they're going to do that?
So I really think it's going to be Texas in this one, pretty comfortably, like you said. I think it'll be at least 10 points. I think they cover the 4.5. Speaking of bringing the boom, I think Texas is going to bring the boom literally in the trenches.
Yeah.
In years past, we've seen where Georgia's had one of their biggest advantages is their D-line. They've just had, like, unbelievable talent on that line and it's been all different guys. You know, the Philadelphia Eagles have all of them now, and it's not exactly working out. But this might be the first time in a long time, really, that Georgia won't have the advantage in the trenches or with their D-line, because Texas' O-line is completely dominant. They lead the nation in pass blocking grade, and that's by 6 points almost, which is like
that's a big deal,
insane.
Yeah,
no O-line in the Power 4 allowed a lower pressure rate, and it's only been charged with 1 sack on the season.
Yeah,
so I mean, you just don't get past them.
And the thing is Texas' center. Oh man, I'm blanking on his name. It's Jake something. But he's a fourth year. He's been there for 4 years now. He's a senior. He started in a majority. I think he started every game that he's played in, basically. Like, when you have that old experience on your offensive line, like, that's just so big for a team like that. Jake Majors, that's what it is. Shout out Jake Majors. One thing I want to talk about really quickly that I think might be a bit of a problem for Georgia too, and we talked about this. It's like Texas has a great D-line. They have good linebackers, and we saw this as an issue when Trevor Etienne was in Florida, which is his pass block. And because he's a smaller framed guy, he's a good runner, but he's a smaller framed guy, and sometimes he would miss angles on pass blocks or just flat out get run over and collapse the pocket. If you don't think Texas is going right after him with their linebackers to kind of shake him up, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I think that, again, I do feel like we're ragging on Georgia a bit too much here. Like, I do think that this will be a close game. Like, I do. I think that Texas can end up winning by a touchdown, but I would not be surprised if Kirby Smart gets those guys fired up and is like, dude, this is all we got right here. Like, this is all we got. Now, let's look at this in the post.
Yeah.
Let's say Georgia does win this game. What does that change?
I mean, that changes the math completely on the season.
Yeah.
Because then it's not an undefeated Texas, and all of a sudden, all these teams are just one-loss teams.
Yeah.
Pretty much, like, all gathered at the top. Shout out Texas A&M, SEC leaders.
But yeah, I mean, you've got LSU up there.
Yeah, you've got
still.
LSU. You'd have LSU at 5-1 or 6-1. They beat Arkansas. You'd have a 6-1 Texas, 6-1 Georgia. And then Bama, Tennessee are Bama and Tennessee are kind of gonna eliminate. One of those two is gonna be eliminated this weekend from SEC contention at least.
Yeah.
Essentially eliminated. I mean, obviously, it's too early for that.
Yeah.
But then you kind of have these like 4 or 5 teams grouped at the top. And then who knows from there? I still think it'd be Texas.
Yeah.
Because like you said, this is their hardest game this season.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't play another ranked opponent until the final game. That's Texas A&M, which they'll roll in that one. I feel pretty good about that. And so, yeah, even if they lose, I still think Texas will be in that championship game. But
that A&M game will be interesting, actually. It's the last game of the season. I mean, you got A&M at the top right now.
Well, they are at the top right now. But
that's
like Texas.
Later.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be, and then let's say it's a Texas Georgia rematch in the championship game. All of a sudden, it's a mental game too, because Georgia's like, oh, we beat you. Texas knows they beat them, and then who knows what happens. I think Carson Beck in this one. I mean, obviously, he's important in every game they play. He's their quarterback. But he's had kind of a weird season.
Yeah.
It feels...
This needs to be one of his best games
he's
played.
I mean, it's going to have to be his best game.
Yeah.
If they're going to win this one.
Yeah.
And he can't... I mean, he's thrown interceptions in the past few games. Just like, it's not been clean. And that if you turn the ball over multiple times, against this Texas team, they're just they're gonna beat you. They're gonna overwhelm you with that O-line.
Yeah.
They'll run the ball if they want to, and they'll drain the clock, and they'll have
Yeah.
Ewers be efficient and make the plays that he needs to make. And he's more than talented enough if Georgia's defense, covers that up to go out and play make and create opportunities. And so it's like, what do you really do?
Yeah.
So Georgia's going to have to elevate the level of play that we've seen from them so far this season.
Again, that Kentucky game is again, like everybody's kind of has their off week, but that Kentucky game was just concerning.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be a top-level team, you got to have explosivity. Like, you got to be able to balance it. And if Georgia's just trying to run it with ETN and make quick passes when Beck hasn't looked great against good DBs, like, they're going to have to take shots. They're going to have to pull some stuff out. And I think they will. I think they're going to put a lot of their chips in the middle, but I still think Texas is going to get it done.
I agree.
Do. All right. Should we jump into the other big SEC game of the week?
I think so. All right. That matchup you're talking about, obviously Bama, Tennessee, which I mentioned a second ago about how one of these two teams is going to get de facto eliminated just by playing each other. I have a question for you.
Let's hear it.
Because just on Tuesday's episode 3 days ago, both of these teams were featured in the episode, and both of them were featured because we were calling them out for being frauds. So is this just the battle of highly ranked frauds?
Yes and no. Yes, because they both have looked relatively bad for a few weeks in a row. Mm-hmm. And you can say a few weeks throughout. Tennessee played a bunch of nobodies at the beginning of the season and looked great.
They've looked bad in SEC play.
They've looked bad in SEC play. No, because whoever wins this game is still going to find their way in the playoff.
Yeah.
So I can't call a team frauds, and I think that things are going to change here. So looking at ESPN real quick, Alabama's favored to go into Tennessee, a place that they lost in 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they lost. Place that they went in there and lost. And Tennessee, Neyland 330, like that's a tough atmosphere. ESPN giving Alabama a 54% chance to win. That's just really a coin flip, to be honest with you. Here's my takeaway on this. I think that it's hard for me to sit here watching Tennessee play and watching Alabama play last week and really have true confidence in either one of those teams, because I don't think right now either one of those teams have confidence in themselves.
Right.
If this game was in Alabama, I'm taking Alabama to win without any doubt in my mind, to be honest with you. Which is funny because a couple weeks ago, I would have had it the complete opposite way. I would have had Tennessee going in and winning that game, period. Now it's in Neyland and it's at home, and Tennessee hasn't proven to me that they can beat an elite team yet.
Yeah.
Of course, right? They beat Oklahoma, but Oklahoma I would not say is an elite team, and they didn't even do that super convincingly.
Nope.
So this is what my takeaway is on this game. Iamaliava has to play better, period. That's where it stops. Because Tennessee can still run the ball. They didn't do it great against Florida. They could still run the ball. They can still play good defense. If you can hold Alabama to less than 20 points, less than 25 points, really less than 28 points, you should be confident in your chances to win that game.
Yeah.
It's about the offense, and it's also about keeping the defense off the field as much as you can, because what their problem against Florida is turning the ball over, and then the defense is right back out there. And they got lucky. They got bailed out in a lot of spots. And then with Alabama, we ranted about this a lot. That South Carolina game, I did not understand what I was looking at. It was so confusing. It was so strange. And again, I just don't have confidence in either one of these teams right now to say convincingly what I feel. Now, I'll give something, but first off, I want to hear what you think that this is going to look like.
So I think you said something there that I totally agree with, and that's that if this game was in Alabama, I'd feel very confident in picking them right now, and I really would not think twice about it, because I have proof of concept with Bama, because they beat Georgia, even though that second half was shaky or whatever. Yeah. Doesn't matter. They still went out and won that game. And Tennessee right now, like you said, they've been bad the last few. They have not looked the same at all in SEC play that they looked in out of conference play the first few weeks of the season. Yeah. And their quarterback, who we were super high on, and nicknamed Frico, and now have nicknamed Tweeko, has been just, I don't want to say a disaster, but relative to expectation and relative to what he was,
let the people down.
He's let us down. That's for sure. That's for sure. And that's not cool. That is not chill at all.
Season QBR right now 47.
Yeah, and that's you can't have.
That's
you
awful.
Not, if you play and now. we're ragging on Nico here, and we're
Yeah.
like, oh, he can't play like that against in this Bama game. But then Jalen Milroe, what have you been doing the
Yeah.
past few weeks? You
Yeah.
can't play that way against Tennessee. So it's like it kind of feels like one of these teams has to get back on track. Just out of they're gonna have to do it. Like it's just gonna happen, and it's gonna be one of them. And I really struggle with this. I really do. But honestly, I think even in Neyland, I kind of think Tennessee breaks in this one. Not like breaks as in gets blown out or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I think their season and the perception nationally on Tennessee will make a full shift after this one because there's still people holding out hope. And that's fair that their defense has been great. And we've seen with our eyes what their offense can be, regardless of who that opponent was. But we've seen it, and it looks amazing and all that. But I think Bama goes in and wins this one. Whether it's a huge margin of victory, I don't know if I could say that, but I just think they win the game and kind of have relative smooth sailing from here on out. Even though like it's been a bad 2 weeks, but I still can't get out of my head that I saw them do to Georgia in that first half what they did, and I know it's in there. Like I know that ability is in there. That level of play is somewhere hiding, even though it feels like the farthest thing away the past 2 weeks. But I gotta imagine it's gonna show up at some point, and there's no point in the season they're gonna need it more than right now.
Well, I'm interested to see. I think a big component for Tennessee in this game is keeping Jalen Milroe's legs out of this game as much as they can. We saw Graham Mertz, who is not in any way considered a dual threat or mobile quarterback to an elite level.
No.
We saw him gaining chunk yardage, big yardage, first down plays, escaping the pocket because it would collapse through the middle and there wouldn't be a linebacker there. He'd be able to get a couple extra yards on him. And I mean, that's Graham Mertz. I mean, if you give Jalen Milroe that, if you let him be comfortable and be able to fully escape and have space, like I think that's going to be a weak point right there. Well, not a weak point, but I just need to see it. This is what I'll say. If they can keep Milroe out of the game and they can get things on offense rolling, then I do think that Tennessee has a chance to win this game because of the Heupel. I think Heupel is really in that locker room right now and in that team right now being like, guys, let's get this rolling. Let's get this going. And when you look at it, I mean, Tennessee, like they don't have any horrible issues. 7th in the nation in rushing yards, fourth in the nation in points against. They're only giving up 10.5 points per game, and they're 9th in the nation for points scored, which is 42. So there's not a single point that's like, oh my God, this is horrible. They have to get the offense rolling. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give my prediction here, and I'm not confident about it. I was really about to say Alabama's going to win this game. And look, if Alabama wins this game, it does not surprise me whatsoever. But I do think that this is going to be a bit more of a Tennessee comeback game. I think they're going to be emotional. I think they're going to be fired up. I think they got a win that they really desperately needed. I think coming off of that Arkansas loss was just weird for them against Florida. I think they got a win that they needed, even though it wasn't that clean. And I think that they're going to find a way to get it done. And if they don't, that's the season.
You're done, yeah.
That's the season. That's the way it is.
All right, let's move on to an ACC game that should be interesting. That's Miami at Louisville. I don't know. You were a big Louisville guy at the start of the season.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that was your team. That was one of your teams. They won you a lock of the week on kind of a crazy one, but they won it regardless. Miami's coming off. I mean, we talked about it. We've talked about this team. We really don't know what to make of the Hurricanes because of the Cal game, the Virginia Tech game. It's like, what's going on? You probably should have lost the Cal game. Probably deserved to lose the Cal game.
Yeah.
And the Virginia Tech game was Hail Mary, shenanigans. But then you have the bye week, and now you're headed to Louisville to play the Cardinals there. It's like, I don't know. Is it going to be the same Miami that's kind of slippery? And if they are, then Louisville has the ability to upset them. We've seen that they could essentially be upset by anyone.
Yeah. This is such a swing game for me, man, because, like, it's just such an odd matchup because you've got Cam Ward, who's so good, and you have Miami, who has the ability to hit Restrepo open and make these big chunk plays. And then you have Louisville, too, who's like Shock is a good quarterback. Like, they've got a good team. There's not anything that's wrong about them, you know what I mean? But, like, they're just not a great team.
Yeah.
Clemson right now is the favorite to win the ACC.
Yeah.
And if you remember in the first week, everybody sold every stock they had in Clemson.
Yeah.
And now Clemson's on the up. This is the thing. I think, like, Miami going into Louisville, I would worry about that, but I don't think that that's a lot of pressure for them, to be honest. I think Cal is way more pressure than Louisville is, which is kind of wild for me to say. It might be a hot take.
I mean, that was a game-day game.
Yeah, it was a night game.
Yeah.
I think that Miami's going to win this game. I do. I think that Louisville is a good team. I think they're going to give them a fight, but I think Miami's going to win this game. I think that they're going to get some of those things dialed down. But look, Cam Ward's got to make some better decisions too. Like, he's been able to bail himself out of some spots. But I mean, there were some plays in the Cal game where I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're trying to give this to them. And Cal, I still am very disappointed in you because you should have won that game. -4. I like Miami here. I like Miami to cover. Your thoughts?
I agree. I like Miami in this game, but obviously, I mean, I had them going undefeated, winning the ACC. I still think that happens. I know Clemson's been playing really well, and they have, and credit to them because everyone was on Dabo after week 1, and it was just, rag on Clemson hour. But yeah, I think Miami gets it done this one, first of all. Like I said, I think they win this game. I'm out of the business of predicting Miami comfortable wins. I'm just not going to do that because they have not proven to me that they're in the business of getting comfortable wins. Yeah. So I'm not gonna give them that benefit of the doubt. But I still think they win. I think they'll do enough. Cam Ward, I still really like. I think he's playing tremendous football, even with a lot of the downsides or the mistakes that have come recently. But I think at the end of the day, it'll just be too much, and I think Miami can do too much and is too explosive and kind of just too good for Louisville at this point.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a blowout or anything, like I said, but yeah, I like Miami to score at least 30, and then we'll see where Louisville stacks up.
Miami's averaging 400 passing yards a game. Restrepo's got 585 yards on 32 catches, which, quick math for you, is just a little over 18 yards per catch because his yards after catch is so good. They're second in the nation in points for with 48. Like, I think if they can, I think it'll kind of be a shootout game because Miami's defense hasn't really proven itself yet. Yeah. Their offense has shown that they're going to win them games when they need to win them games. And look, like Louisville lost to Notre Dame, who's a team that I'm definitely not high on, as you know. They lost to SMU, who's a good team, and they really kind of escaped Georgia Tech in a really strange fashion. So is Louisville a good team? Yes. Would Louisville beat, I would say, most of the teams in the SEC? Yes, but I don't think this is one of them.
I agree. All right. I think we're good to move on to the lock of the week here.
Let's do it. All right, camera battery is low-key dying, so we're gonna make this quick, real quick.
Yeah,
Lock
we're gonna fly through it.
Lock of the week. I'm gonna go first.
Yep, go ahead.
LSU goes into Arkansas, and they're favored by 1.5 points. Give me LSU to cover that every day of the week. Arkansas is a good team. Arkansas is not a great team. Arkansas likes to shoot itself in the foot. LSU's coming off a big win, and they're saying, "Oh my God, we're number 8 in the country. If we win out or if we win more games, we're gonna be in the playoff," and that's exactly what they're gonna do. Give me LSU to cover.
All right, I'll go quick as well, and I just want to say this one really hurts, but I will pick this. I'm picking this team to cover the spread. They're underdogs. I'm picking them to cover the spread. I'm not picking them to win because I would never do that to you, Indiana, because you did me right last week or the last lock of the week, and you won for me. And your offense is great, and your head coach is great. Shout out to you, Kurt. You guys win, and you're gonna win this game, but you're not gonna cover the 6.5 against Nebraska, which I believe that's what the line is right now. 6.5, 6.5. Let me confirm. It's definitely 6.5. Whatever. You're not going to cover that line. Yeah, it is. Nebraska's going to cover that. That's my lock of the week. But Nebraska's still going to lose the game. Now, if they win the game, I still get it right. Doesn't matter. But I'm Indiana. I want to do it like that. I would not betray you after what you did for me and for my momentum. So that's all I've got to say.
That's interesting. That is interesting. That'll be a good one, I think, to look back on. All right. We're gonna touch on something real quick that was weird, and I think you've kind of watched more of this than I have. I've definitely seen the clips from it.
Yeah.
But you give me what Mr. Hunter decided to say.
So Travis Hunter goes on a podcast, I believe with RG3, Robert Griffin.
Yep.
Shout out. And he's talking about Ashton Jeanty, who many people, I mean, these are the two guys that everyone's discussing as the Heisman favorites, and for good reason, because they've both been incredible this season. So Travis Hunter goes on the podcast, and he says, and I'll read the quote, "I mean, y'all see Ashton Jeanty. It's not like we haven't seen a running back that's good. We haven't seen a player that plays both ways, and I'm going to keep saying that." Talking about himself, the player that plays both ways. Now, Travis, we actually have seen a player more recently, or at least we've seen a defensive player win the Heisman more recently than we've seen someone doing what Ashton Jeanty is doing right now. That was Barry Sanders in '88, and obviously Charles Woodson won the Heisman in '98. And so you're way off on this. I'm calling you out. I'm sure you're gonna call him out too, because I could be wrong, but I feel like it's kind of ridiculous. I don't mind Travis Hunter going out there and basically saying I should win it. I'm actually totally fine with that and encourage it. I don't need all the lovey-dovey stuff in college football. Go out and support yourself. Whatever. You deserve it. You're awesome. You're great at football. You're having a tremendous season. But also you made a point about if I had 95 catches, about how Jeanty has 95 carries and over 1,000 yards. He was like, if I have 95 catches, what do you think I do? Not how it works.
Not how it works.
So that's all I got to say.
Well, dude, this is the thing, and you hit it where I was going with it, which is I have absolutely no problem with Travis Hunter saying I should win the Heisman Trophy. You know why? Because what you're doing is unbelievable. You're unbelievable. You're unbelievably talented. We were hyping you up recently. I mean, we were talking about how you, like, dude, even if you were a receiver, you would probably still be, I would say, in the top 5 or 10 voting. Like,
season.
But you can't say that you haven't seen anything, or that we've seen something like Ashton Jeanty, or we've seen somebody that's that good as him. Because what he's doing is insane. This guy's putting up 150 yards in halves.
Crazy.
In halves, and then they're sitting him. If they were playing this guy full games,
his
like,
numbers would be insane
breaking
right now.
NCAA records. I mean, I'm sure he already is. But look, Travis Hunter, we're fans of you, and I hope that you're the number 1 pick in the draft too, because I don't think anybody should be picked ahead of you, and it's definitely not going to be Shador. I don't know why I keep saying that. No, dude.
He's coming back.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
But anyways,
shout out.
dude, like, if Jeanty stays healthy and he keeps doing what he's doing, I have not seen a back be as dominant as that in my life.
No.
I mean, they compared Jeanty's stats to former running backs, or the last 5 running backs, through their first 5 games of the season. Jeanty's averaging like 10.9 yards per carry, and Derrick Henry was averaging like 6, and he won the Heisman by a landslide in that. So, look, I get it, and I get that Colorado's schedule is a bit harder. I mean, it is a bit harder, but I support what you're saying, but I'm not taking the Ashton Jeanty hate. But T Hunter, if you win it, then
you deserve it too.
You deserve it too.
It's fine.
All right. This is the segment that we like to do. It's a Thursday episode. We don't even know if the camera's on anymore.
We don't.
We're just getting right through it. And that is the complaint courtroom. The complaint courtroom. Now, Mr. Eitan, I think I'm going to have you go first
I can do that.
on this one. I feel like you should put the shades on.
I will put the shades on.
For sure.
Let me get these on. Because I definitely have something to complain about. All right.
Alrighty.
It's exciting.
Let me put a timer out there.
Put that 1 minute on there.
I just got taken to a hacker website because I typed in timer. That's
Shout
awesome. All right. No, I don't want 6 minutes. 1:00. Boom. All right. Your 1 minute starts now.
Okay, what I'm complaining about is the NCAA all of a sudden wants to make rule changes on the fly when it's Oregon benefiting from them. Because if you didn't see, and I'm sure you did because we talked about this, or at least heard because we talked about this on the last episode when discussing Oregon-Ohio State, one of the last plays of the game, Dan Lanning has 12 guys on the field, and that takes time off the clock, and it helps Oregon win the game. Whatever. And then all of a sudden, it's what? That was Saturday, October 12th. So the NCAA on Wednesday, October 16th is like, oh yeah, we're actually closing that loophole. That's gone. See you later. You don't take 4 days to do anything. You take 4 days to hurt the Oregon football team that proved me right and that I so dearly love at this point. Come on. Can't do that. That's ridiculous. Let the loophole stay in there. That's part of the fun of football. I love loopholes because when people exploit them, when teams exploit them, it's like, wow, that's really cool. And then it's like, oh, did they do that on purpose or was it an accident?
That's your time. You know what? I like that. You know why? Because the NCAA too, they're so slow when it comes to certain things that are actually like really important. It's like, oh, a coach found a loophole in a rule that you were not quick enough to fix.
Your
is
rule.
Is that your problem? No. All right, dude. I need to nail mine down, dude. I'm like sniffing it, but I'm not 100% sure if I want to bite. I'm gonna bite.
Just bite.
I'm gonna bite.
All right, let me know when you're ready for this timer.
I want to keep. I was gonna do something. Okay. Just put the computer away.
Put it away.
Just let it rip.
And go ahead.
Dude, my complaint is to the Oklahoma offense.
Oof.
And dude, this hurts me. This hurts me bad because I'm wearing it. I'm going to Norman. I love Oklahoma. Shout out, good history. They've got everything. They're the winningest program in college football, and you can't have an offense. Look, you've played good defensive teams, okay? You've played Tennessee, one of the best in the nation. You've played Texas, one of the best in the nation. But, like, there are just some of these games where I'm just like, what is the play called? Do we not have talent? You have an 18-year-old true freshman starting. Dylan Gabriel left. I'm not 100% sure what the thing was, but a lot of those were like, because Jackson Arnold's going to be the guy that's going to start over him. Dude, Dylan Gabriel's out there just slinging it, winning. And now they're looking at redshirting Arnold, seeing if they can even do that. And I don't even know who they have behind it. You know who they have behind it is a 8th year, a guy who's in his 7th year. I think it's Casey Simpson or something like that. I'm getting his last name. Casey Thompson, who started at Texas. Now they have a 7 quarterback. And, dude, Oklahoma, please get an offense. Just please get an offense. That's what I'm complaining about. I feel like I'm yapping way too much. I'm looking at the camera. I don't even know if it's on.
It might not be on, but I'll tell you what. One thing we don't like on the show. That was crazy. Old quarterbacks in college football. We don't like it. Don't want to see it. Get out of here.
Get out.
So, but also don't like Jackson Arnold. Not good. Oklahoma offense, don't like you either. Not good. So I can't disagree with you.
When I feel bad for Michael Hawkins Jr. because he's a really talented guy. He just is still, dude. You want to hear a crazy stat? Through the first 5 games, this is before they played Texas, so I don't know what it is after Texas. But through their first 5 games, they had 9 different guys start on offensive line. Now there are 5 players that start on offensive line.
If you were
normally,
generally,
and they played 9.
Not
and dude,
good.
They'll change guys from being a guard to a tackle. They've it's crazy. And dude, that's just brutal. You're not going to win in the SEC if you don't have that position group cemented down. Oklahoma, I want you to beat South Carolina because South Carolina literally choked that Oklahoma game so bad, and it made me so mad. I'm sitting there in Knoxville watching this on TV and are you kidding me? How do you not win this game? Oklahoma, I really want you to beat South Carolina and put Beamer ball to rest, but you're gonna need to score points. You're gonna need to score points in order to do that.
Well, if you and your shirt are any luck, then Oklahoma will do that and they will win the game. But I guess we're gonna find out. You might be a bad luck charm. We're going to find out on Saturday.
But I was there last year when they barely beat UCF. I was sketch. It's all good.
Not great.
I have confidence in you, Oklahoma. I think you're going to get it done.
Go get it done. Don't be featured on Complaint Corner again.
Come on,
really.
dude.
Your offense on
SEC,
Complaint Corner
dude.
is crazy.
Come on.
That's tough.
Come on.
Well, anyways, that's all for this episode that may have a dead camera as of right now. But if it doesn't, then you're seeing our beautiful faces and you're seeing us sign off, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Very excited for that Tuesday episode, by the way. That'll be interesting. Should be great.
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
A lot. All right.
Later.
See you.